In the last episode here, we saw how we could drip water onto Abyssalite and have it instantly flash into steam. So welcome back, my fellow duplicates. Today, I'm actually going to try to tap into the huge thermal potential that we have locked away inside of this Abyssalite, and I'm going to try it in this spot right down here. There's a reason I'm working in this spot, and that is because I have this volcano over here to the left, which will actually give me something that's more long-term. But I can try to get the thermal energy out of this Abyssalite here, and then once it's, you know, room temperature or whatever, then I could try to go down a little bit further and get into this Abyssalite, and then once I get down beyond that, there's all of that obsidian down there. So there's a lot of thermal energy in this one spot right here. So it seems like a great spot to have a steam turbine. Now there's a couple of different strategies that we're going to explore in order to get that thermal energy out, because we're dealing with something that's incredibly hot, 1,500 degrees Celsius. So there's a trick that I'm going to be using to really get the most out of that thermal energy using a steam turbine here, because you can run a steam turbine at higher temperatures, but you don't want to run as much steam through it. So there's a whole automated thing on that. I actually did a video on that. You can check it out up here at any point, but that is how do you temperature control your steam turbine so that you don't end up wasting a lot of energy? Because if you run steam through here that's just too hot, it actually just comes off on the other side of the steam turbine, so this thing just gets hotter and hotter. It's not a 1-to-1 ratio, so it isn't like you just suddenly blast this thing with 500 degrees Celsius, but it will put out more heat than it normally does. So the last thing here is that I want to do some distilling in this location. So if you take a look at what I have going on here in the main base, besides having 1,000 pips running around all the time, is that I actually have a lot of lumber, and this lumber just isn't really being used anywhere. It's just building up inside of my base. Matter of fact, you can see it right down here. There's just lots and lots of lumber. So eventually I'm going to end up shipping a lot of lumber out of this initial biome right here. So it's just kind of the initial ingredient, and that is then going to turn into another tier material, which is going to be the ethanol, and I'll be able to ship that ethanol via a liquid pipe, which I'm building right here, to these petroleum generators. Now at some point here we might reconstruct everything up here and kind of get rid of this, but right now that's the system, it's working, so I'm not going to touch it. Alright, so when we deal with the steam turbine, we want to kind of start with a vacuum down here, and then we can bring in some water, because the idea in this way, in this situation, is that I'm actually going to be dripping water onto the Abyssalite and then harvesting that thermal energy that comes off of it. So I want to make sure that I only have water down here. Not only that, things can be kind of hot, so it's good to work within kind of a vacuum environment. So I think the best way to work in this environment is to start by flooding it. So we're going to flood our desert using this cool slush geyser over here. I'll just kind of build up this bit right there, boom, and then close off that door so the water, instead of going off to the right, actually goes off to the left. So hop to it, dupes. We've got a lot of work ahead of us. All right, metal refinery, I know you're awaiting coolant, and now I have coolant. I'll click that on, there we go. Yes, there we go, perfect. No, I have not finished this metal refining system just yet. Definitely want to. It's on the menu. I also think I might use this loop right here to cool the rest of this this biome here. So you see how this is running around and around, it's right around 30 degrees. I could expand that. There's no reason I can't. Right now it's only keeping this steam turbine cool, which means that that's really the only coolish spot in this entire area. The rest of this is right around 70 degrees or maybe a little bit hotter, which is, it's pretty borderline with these metal refineries as they are, so I might want to do that. Now, would I run a cooling loop behind the metal refinery? It's not going to be liquid. I could put a gas loop because you can stack different cooling loops on top of each other, but alright, so that should be ready to rumble. We got the metal refinery there, a bunch of iron ore. Good deal. Hey dupes, what are you doing? Are you digging this stuff? Are you digging? How you doing, kitty? Ah, she's doing fantastic. Look at her. And there's food down here for her. This is like the most perfect cycle. And look, the little slicksters are doing what slicksters do. Kitty, where are you going? What are you doing? You just came out here to check it out? Like, I wonder what's up out here. Yeah, that's exactly what you did. Bristle blossoms. Ooh. Ooh. Yo. Let's go dig that real quick. Okay, so another thing I'm working on over here is I'm expanding the amount of atmosuit docks I have. This way, my duplicates can kind of go in and go wherever they need to go to their biome and then come in and out. So I'll build several of these stations here, there, and all around kind of the main biome right here as I get more and more material. Now, I know there's been a lot of requests to put them up here, but we'll get there. We'll get there. Okay, so another thing I should build over here is a gas compressor for this geyser, because right now there's a good amount of natural gas that I'm not using. Okay, so we built this door. All I want to do is set it to open real quick, and that way the water will flow out to the left. This is just ridiculous. Okay, bam. There we go. Have at it, cool slush geyser. Perfect. That's exactly what I wanted to see. All right, so I have enough for a couple of steam turbines, so I can probably place one right here. Let's just try to mock it in real quick. If I place one there, and then it drips down onto this abyssalite. How hot is the abyssalite right here? Not hot. That actually needs to be carved up. All right, so I'm going to start by digging this stuff up. We're going to dig down here, just clear it out. There's a little bit of oxygen down there, but eventually we'll just kind of displace all of that with liquid, and then I can pump out the liquid I don't need. Look at Ren go. Ha! These priorities are like perfect. She comes down here, she does a little digging, she builds a ladder, and then she'll finish the digging job. Very nice. Man, look at how fast she is. She's almost like a super dupe now. Almost. That obsidian would have vanished with the super dupe. All right, so decent start. Now you guys were telling me about a mod where you can actually build over plants. Very nice mod. There's also another mod that would actually show me the critters. I did have it installed, but I just don't have it loaded. And if I'm honest with you, I kind of like to see the graph. Ooh, copper. Ooh, yes please. Oh, what? Look at the little thimble reed down here. Pips? Way to be amazing. I didn't even think of that. Disable that pump. That's cool. Okay, don't disable it yet, but definitely we will disable that at some point, or we'll have some water down there because the thimble reed is awesome. That's free reed fiber. Okay, so just for reference, we've been on a steep incline here, but we may have actually topped out at right around 166 or 170 critters right there. I'm curious to see how this graph is going to play out over many more cycles. Okay, so there's been a good amount of talk about maybe getting rid of some of these pips and helping the frame rate a little bit and all of that good stuff. And yes, you're absolutely right, that could happen here. This is part of an experiment though. So we started it at cycle 425, therefore I have to carry it out at least through 525 in order to see just how much food we start to get out of this thing. Because the lifespan of a pip is 100 cycles. So we should start to see that they turn into a meat, quite a bit of meat. We should cook up a lot of barbecue. And if that works, there is a way to actually get all of these pips out of here. If you strand them on like a single tile, they will actually just run around that tile over and over and over again. So if you run with that idea and put an arbitrary on top of it, there's a good chance you can sustain quite a few pips on a single spot, just like that. And that could be in a biome or a whole room that's the size of how much you've dug out. So there's a good chance you could have like just a bunch of arbitraries over here and pips running around on each one. I'm not sure how you would automate that. I'm not sure if you'd need to automate that, but I could see it working. So that might be the next implementation of our pip strategy here. But enough of these pips, let's focus back on what we have going on down here. Okay, so the dupes have made some good progress down here. We can see we have a steam turbine. I have a little bit of the insulated tiles right there. And what I'm going to do is drip that water that's coming back out of the steam turbine strategically into spots where it will actually interact with the abyssalite down here. So what I'm doing is I'm going to send a drop of water that way, then it'll go over here, and 50% of the time I'll go over there, go over there. And that way I can kind of make use of all of these different tiles right down here, because it only seemed to actually work with the tile that it's touching, right? I mean, that makes sense, because the abyssalite isn't going to transfer to the abyssalite. Ren, you got stuck behind a bunch of sand, I'm sorry. I'm sending some dupes out to different locations just to kind of see what's out there. And ooh, look at what we have up here. We do have an oil biome. That's pretty cool. So I'll have an oil biome that's really, really close to space. Nice. Sorry, Ren. Oh, she's so stressed out. I kind of forgot about you over there. You got stuck. What's her current debuffs? Why are you not happy? Soggy feet. Low morale. That's it. You sure it has nothing to do with the being stuck, suffocating, and starving all at the same time? Alright, so I want to completely dig out this biome, so I'm going to use a slightly different digging tactic this time. I'm actually going to dig 4 up from this ladder, just like that, and then I'll dig down 3 from it, so just like that. And then I could put the next ladder right down here. I want to space it out 4, because we can build, or we can reach 4 up from where the ladder is, and then we can go 3 below it, so just like that. So this should be the fastest way to kind of dig through this entire area with the least amount of commands. And Ren is going to try to demonstrate that right now. So you can see how she can reach 4 up, just like that, and we should be able to reach 3 down. So if I go over here and I just kind of increase the priority on that real quick. She can reach 3 down from the ladder. So that's a pretty handy trick if you just really want to dig out an area very, very fast. Okay, so one of the problems I'm running into here is that I'm really not finding a lot of iron. I kind of like to make things out of iron. I should probably stop liking to make things out of iron because it's like only way over here or way down here, which happens to be a long ways away from where I'm at. Guess I should focus more on using copper. Ren, you seem to be suffering from high stress, although it does seem to be going down. You keep stepping in something soggy. Where are people getting their feet wet? Let's just try this real quick. See if I can find it. Aha, there it is. There's a little bit of water right down there. That makes sense. So one of the things I'm going to do here is I'm going to try to move these airflow tiles down just a little bit. That way I could expand the amount of mess tables I have up here for my duplicates. I'm not really using this area right down here. This is probably going to go away, hopefully. I mean, I love mealwood, but... Ooh, yeah. Auto harvest this stuff. We'll disable that pump. Just leave that water down there. Thank you, Micron. Ooh, that reed fiber. Wild growth cycle. Every 8 cycles, I'll be able to build another Atmos suit if I wanted to. That's pretty cool. And that's actually really good considering that I haven't been able to find any reed fiber on this map, like growing wildly. Okay, here we go. Nicola's actually building up these tiles. The cool thing about this is now all of that's water right down there. So I don't have to actually vacuum out any of the gas. Nicola, where'd you go, man? You're leaving me hanging. People were watching you. Do it for the cameras. Priority level 7. Thank you. Ren seems to have gotten over her super high stress. That's nice. Ren! No! Ren! Oh, never mind. Alright, so now that we have all of this water down here, we're pretty much set. We're like ready to go. All right, so I'm trying to pump the water out of this area down here. That way I don't have too much down here and I can just go ahead and dig this down and hopefully we can get that water to drop and kind of increase in temperature. Ooh, just like that. That's exactly what we were looking for. That spot is turning into steam. Good. So we've got a good chance of that potentially happening in a spot where I don't want it to happen. But hey, everything's a start, right? Well, that's a good sign. All right, so the main thing that I want to get out of this is to have it connect with the rest of my larger power grid over here. So I want to be able to send that power up to this spot up here. You know, that is if I can get power out of it. All right, so what I'll have here is just a smart battery in that location, and then that will run an automation signal to the steam turbine right just below it. And I'll just have this pump down here in case a little bit too much water falls into this area. There's a good amount of ifs going on down here, so we'll see if it all works out. All right, there we go, dupes. All right, so let's see if I can dig into here and get this stuff to flash into steam. So I'm just going to deconstruct this one tile, and then we'll go down there, and we're going to dig at a priority of level 9. Come on now, dupes, you can do it. All right, here we go. Let's see what happens. Ooh, ooh. Slow this down just a little bit. Wow, that's hot. All right, hold up, Ren. Oh, geez. What do we have up here that I can deconstruct? Priority level, please. And then, very quickly, we're going to make a door up here. Just like that. Here we go. Come on. Deconstruct it. Quickly. No, Ren. Ren, I need you. Oh, no. Who's building this? Nicola. Nicola, I want you to cancel build. There we go. I knew this was going to be tricky, but here we go. Let's try this again. Ren, do you got it? Yeah, there we go. There we go. Okay, good. So now we're not letting all of that steam out. So as we let this loose, it should continue to drop and kind of move around, and hopefully we will see that it turns into steam. Excellent. That's exactly what I wanted to see there. A little bit of water, lots of steam. Too much heat, but we can block that off. Not a big deal. Now, what are you telling me? The steam temperature is below 125 degrees Celsius. And we actually did cool down that Abyssalite. Okay, so that was interesting. Let's try to build that ladder real quick, and then we'll go down there and dig it up at priority level 8. This is a hot spot right there, and that's a hot spot, hot spot, hot spot. Okay, so Ren is digging this up. It's doing all sorts of crazy stuff down there. And we have steam, but it is not hot enough. We do have 300 kilograms of steam, though. Once again, we took all that heat out of that Abyssalite. Let's try it once more. Okay, so Ren's in here again. We're going to blast it just a little bit more. And while we do have everything in there, steam, and we are bringing in more and more water, the temperature of the steam is not hot enough to run the steam turbine. And that really does make sense, because the way that I was reading how this glitch works is that it converts it to its gas, but it doesn't necessarily get hotter than that. So I don't think there's really any way to run a steam turbine off of the Abyssalite all by itself. So what has happened here is we have been able to heat up that huge body of water and convert it into steam using the energy that was in the Abyssalite, but now to really run the steam turbine, we have to have it in contact with this obsidian down here. And that should crank up the temperature, because that's essentially what it's designed to do right down here. So what I'm going to do is just go over here, we'll block this off, and what we should see is the temperature of the steam down here increase over time. Oh, we ended up with sand. That's interesting. There must have been some dirt down there. All right, now I want to cap this off real quick before all of that heat starts to get out of there. You can see how much we have down there. It's 120, 130. It's quite toasty. But you can see the steam turbine is running, so that's cool. Although it needs to be hooked up to this. So there we go. Come on, dupes. Quickly build this. All right, there we go. So now that's all capped off. Boom. So we have some obsidian. Obviously, it's cooling down, but it's going to continue to transfer this thermal energy from down here, which we have quite a bit of, up into the steam. So this should remain relatively hot. Nice. There we go. Sweet. So check this out. The temperature in here is right around 185 degrees. We just dropped a little bit of power out of the grid, so now this thing just activated, and it's just dripping that water right back down here. That cools it down just a little bit. So nice. We can actually suck a little bit of power out of this obsidian down here. Okay, so in the end, the Abyssalite here was useful in that it was able to heat up our water initially, but it wasn't ever hot enough to run the steam turbine. However, building this over something that's incredibly hot, like this body of obsidian down here, we are able to still continue to pull more and more energy out of this area. Nice. So I think that was an interesting little experiment there. Might give you some ideas. My dupes over here on the left have continued to dig this out. It's been real nice. I haven't had to tell them to do anything. They just, you know, whenever they get some free time, they run over here and do that. I'm also running the metal refinery a little bit more. So you can see that we have some crude oil right there, some a little bit right there. It could use some more crude oil. However, I do have more crude oil. Look at all of this crude oil I have over here. Wow, and look at all of this polluted water I have over here. I'm loaded. I've got water everywhere. Oh, you know what? That's why I have water. It's because I have this. Might want to disable that before it floods my base down here. Do not go through here. Ooh, which means we have an oil well that's running. Nice. Which means I have the wrong type of gas in this area. What do we have? Ugh. Ugh. Oxygen. Gross. We want natural gas. Give me that natural gas. Excuse me, is that not enough automation or function? Are you not plugged in? No, you're plugged in. Do you not have an outlet? What's your deal? Gas pipe thing? Oh yeah, that's your deal. All right, so there's a lot of liquids that are going to be running in and out of this area. So I've got 3 pipes that I'm going to run right down here at the bottom of my base. We're going to get rid of the rest of these liquid pipes because I don't need those anymore. I'll figure out what I'm going to bring out of the base up top eventually, but right now I don't have any plans for anything. So all of that is going to go away. So the 2 things I'm bringing in are going to be ethanol and polluted water. And the thing that I'm exporting is going to be petroleum, maybe, somewhere, once I reconfigure these pipes. Oh no, Nicola! Oh no, you dug this spot, all of the sand fell out. Crap. Oh, that's a lot of priority level 9 right there. Not bad. We're just gonna bring all that back to normal. Okay, so now that I have a steam turbine, I can actually go ahead and just take the natural gas generator offline and the coal generator offline if need be. And that's because I can keep the grid full here, you know, using the steam turbine. Although there is a lot of stuff running on that grid already. Man, look at it. We're up to 1.3 kilowatts already. Kitty's over here just running the oil refinery like crazy. The oil well's running. We've got a pump up there running. We've got a gas filter running. Everything's going everywhere. Ooh, look at the gas overlay. That's cool. Some sour gas, a little bit of carbon dioxide there on the bottom, polluted oxygen, natural gas. You got all the gases. You got any hydrogen in there? Not yet. Okay, so I think the only thing left to do here is to make sure that this steam turbine is not wasting a bunch of power. You can see down here the temperature of this steam is at 325 degrees Celsius, and pulled from the reference of my other video right here, what we want to do is actually restrict how many ports of this steam turbine are open to the steam down below, so that way we can reduce the amount of water that's running out of the pipe here. You can see that that's at 1600 grams. So by restricting that down, what we're essentially doing is we're cutting down the amount of thermal energy that this thing is wasting. Because you can see the amount of heat production that it has, it actually goes up very, very high because that steam is too hot. So anytime that we are above 850 watts of production, it's wasting energy. And that wasted energy comes out in the form of heat production. So what I really want to do is get down here, close off some of those using doors, and then set them up to an automation signal so that they click open at the right time based on the temperature of what we have down here. So come on, dupes, let's get this thing up and running. We've done this a few times. There you go, Ren. Good job. All right, so we need to deconstruct that. We also need to deconstruct all of these little liquid vents here. As it turns out, these liquid vents were not really needed at all. I thought it would take a little bit longer to cool down the Abyssalite, but it didn't. We did have a full tile of water in each spot there, which is a lot of water. So down here, we actually had over like 5 tons of water, which explains why there's so much steam down here. That's a lot, 168 kilograms. Although once we crack open this door again, it'll be a little bit less. I know, it's kind of hot, Ren. It's insanely hot. Here, quick, build yourself a little bit of a ladder. Hey now, hey, you're not deconstructing this. Oh, I guess that's Nicola's job. Oh, all that steam. Glad I made that out of steel. All right, so now that I've cleared all of that out, what I want to put down here is several mechanized airlocks. I'm going to go ahead and take a small risk here and build these doors out of copper rather than iron. So these will melt at about 1,000 degrees Celsius, whereas iron would be a little bit higher temperature. Now there is some spots down here where the temperatures are, again, about 1,400, but I think by the time we get it up here in the steam while this thing's running, we're not going to see temperatures that high. At least that's what I'm gambling on. So I'm going to connect these doors here to a thermal sensor. That way I can open and close them based on what the temperature is in this area. Whew, that is pretty hot down there. There we go, Ren, good job. Just build that up just a little bit more, please. Thank you. Perfect. Exactly what I wanted to see. All right, priority level 9, let's cap that off. So that let out a fair bit of really, really hot steam. That's kind of crispy. Should be all right though. All right, so now the next thing I need to do here is get the temperature back down because it's a little bit just too hot. Okay, so good deal. You can see that the temperature down here is below the limit, so that steam turbine should run. I set all of these thermal sensors from left to right here to be below 200, below 225, and below 269. That should make sure that the steam turbine here can restrict the amount of liquid it runs through that so that we don't end up wasting a bunch of energy. Now I have to run some equipment though in order to, do anything here. Here, we'll just disable this for a little bit, please. There you go. There we go. We're starting to draw in a little bit of power. You can see that this thing is running. And how much power does it put out? Okay, so it's currently producing 850 watts, which is all right. But you can see the heat production there was quite a bit less. It's still at 400 degrees Celsius down here, so it's still a little bit too much. If you restrict all the ports, you end up restricting the steam turbine's ability to actually run at 800 some watts. It'll run down to 425. It'll be efficient, but it's not really worth, setting all of this up just for 425 watts. Uh-oh, Val's on fire. We brought her back to the suit. All right, well, let me queue up my dupes here. They've all been freshly cooked a little bit here. That was a fairly hot episode. These poor dupes have been running on these manual generators for many cycles now. I think it's about time we start to give them a break. And now that I have a couple consistent sources of power, I think power distribution is the right topic to start to cover here next time in Oxygen Not Included. Today was a little bit of an experiment. We did learn some things with the Abyssalite. It's useful. It isn't something that you can get a ton of power out of, at least in the way that I tackled it. However, tapping into something like this boulder down here, there's big chunk of obsidian, does look like it will provide a fair amount of power for several cycles. So, in the end, I think it was very useful to come down here and start to tap into this. Not only that, once I use up all of this, I can just rework it a little bit and start to make use of this volcano right there. So yeah, but at last, that's all I have for you guys today. Thanks for watching. Hopefully you guys have enjoyed this episode here of Oxygen Not Included. If this looks like the channel for you, maybe consider hitting that subscribe button. Stay awesome, guys. Peace. Brothgar.